What do you say? Back as we should be. Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Joe Lisi, I'm Kevin Walsh with you. What a Sunday. What a Sunday. A lot of weather impacting a lot of things. Happy to be here, Joe. How you feeling?
Yeah, I missed you on the pregame on Sunday. Yeah. But, here we are reassessing and recapping Week 15. And what a Week 15 it was, right? Some teams separated themselves. Yeah. Others, like the Kansas City Chiefs, dead and buried. And I just don't mean their playoff chances and hopes, right? Pat Mahomes goes down.
Is he no longer with us?
No, but I mean, that's a huge loss at the end of the regular season. ACL is huge for recovery.
So let's start there. There's plenty for us to get into. The Bengals were officially eliminated. Buffalo's huge comeback in New England, of course. Broncos and their statement victory over Denver. But the Kansas City Chiefs losing to the Los Angeles Chargers officially ended their playoff chances. They are eliminated flatly. Before the final 3 weeks of the season, we know the Chiefs, who have been to the AFC Championship game every single season with Patrick Mahomes as the starter, don't make the playoffs this year. And there are so many things we can point to as to why, right? And I know some injuries hit this team. I think it is very important to understand that this is a group who's lost 5 of 6, and they were favored in every single one of those games, and all but one of them, Joe, favored by more than a field goal. So we can talk why. And not that you were going to give them, but I guess this is for people in other places. There should be no excuses here. This is a nightmare of a season from the Kansas City Chiefs. We'll get to the Mahomes injury, no doubt. But this team missing the playoffs is not excusable.
No, it's not. And I'll point to the offense. And the defense kept them in it the last 2 weeks against Houston and Sunday against the L.A. Chargers. But the offensive identity, all we heard at the start of the year when Mahomes was putting up numbers, and even though they weren't winning as much as they used to, was that this was an MVP type of caliber season for Pat Mahomes. And when the chips were in the middle of the table with 2 critical matchups, they failed to step up. They couldn't beat the Bills on the road. The offensive conservativeness, I'll say, with Andy Reid and Matt Nagy is unbelievable. It's remarkable when you think that you have potentially the best quarterback modern day in the NFL in Pat Mahomes with 3 Super Bowls. And Andy Reid and Matt Nagy are afraid to take the governor off the offense. I've said it. You had a healthy Marquise Brown this year. You had Xavier Worthy, an emerging star that came on at the end of the regular season. Travis Kelce potentially was in his best shape of his life, right? Rashee Rice came back in the middle part of the year that rejuvenated that offense. There was no excuse for this offense not to put up at least 24 points per game. When you look at the year that L.A. and Matt Stafford have had, that should be a similar type of productivity, and you could only blame it on 2 people, Matt Nagy and the head coach, Andy Reid. Look, and I'm not what I'm saying is this. There were glaring weaknesses prior to this season, right? Where we said this offense wasn't the same, but their defense kept them in it. Pat Mahomes was more of a game manager, right? And then all of a sudden we saw the emergence of Xavier Worthy at the end of the regular season. They got knocked around by the Eagles in the Super Bowl, and they had a fresh, healthy group minus Rashee Rice, and they were scoring much more at the start of the year than they are now.
So I think the thing for Kansas City is sometimes we talk about Super Bowl hangovers, right? Mm-hmm. And it's usually to the losing team. The Kansas City Chiefs last year put forward one of the most successful, concerning seasons we've ever seen. They lost 1 regular season game with starters. They went to the Super Bowl. And despite that, I was a little bit man on an island. This doesn't look right. They keep beating bad teams by walk-off field goals blocked or made by them. And this should be better. And specifically the quarterback, who is a consensus top 5 player at his position ever, much less presently, who hasn't looked like that outside of a couple of moments in years now. And they were smashed by the Eagles. And this team, Joe, has not shown up in a close game all but one time this year.
Yeah.
The only close game they won was the game against the Colts. But everything else, these one-possession games, lost. They lost every single one of them. That is their only victory, the game against the Colts. That wasn't by at least, 9 or more points. So for Kansas City, I think they rode that high, and they just didn't address any of it. And I think they maybe assumed it's going to fall back into place. And what's incredible is they weren't the only ones who assumed it. Because, Joe, them losing to the Chargers, it didn't feel stunning, right? They couldn't move the football, but they were 5.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
The game against the Texans, they could not move the ball. Nobody was stunned. They were 3.5 closed. It's like 4.5-point favorites. This is just a team where it's been very hard to grasp how bad they've been. And I think some of that is it is still difficult to point to 15 and be like, he has to be better. So during this stretch where they've lost 5 of 6,
right,
the worst passer rating, minimum 100 attempts, in football is Shedeur Sanders. And then it's Pat Mahomes.
Right.
Mahomes is sandwiched in between Shedeur and J.J. McCarthy in this 6-week stretch.
Right.
He's supposed to be the best. He's flatly been one of the worst in football.
Yeah, you're right, and I'll lay it on to that. In the pregame, I brought up during the previous to Sunday's game, 34% on third down conversions over that streak. They had lost 4 of the last 5. 34% for one of the most explosive offenses, at least in perception, in the NFL. But that's why I go back to Andy Reid. Maybe he did lose his fastball because, again, there's no reason why. If you're asking me, I understand Spagnuolo has the defense. That's great.
Yep.
I get it. But why isn't Pat Mahomes just sitting back there throwing 40 and 42 times a game like Joe Burrow? I just don't understand.
Yeah.
Why is that mentality for the Kansas City Chiefs? Got to run the football. We have 2 pedestrian running backs in Isaiah Pacheco and Kareem Hunt. It's not like James Cook is back there, a home run hitter.
No aggressiveness anywhere.
No.
In the front office. They could have had Breece Hall. It's probably fine. No evidence it was fine. No evidence it was fine.
I agree.
And the thing for this team is you look at, so again, and I know Pat tore his ACL, but he will play next year. Maybe not week 1, but he will play, and we expect he will still be one of the best quarterbacks in football. He doesn't really have much of an argument to best quarterback in football anymore with the way this season has played out. Kelsey is at most 1 more season. Andy Reid is nearing the end. Chris Jones is nearing the end. Okay, well, now, hold on a second. Now, what are we sinking our teeth into? This is a team who has to hope that when Josh Simmons is healthy, he's actually as good as they thought he was going to be. But health hasn't really been there for Josh Simmons. That's why he fell in the draft. They have to hope that Xavier Worthy and Rashee Rice continue to trend upwards, but we will see on that. Worthy, young in his career, but he has not had that consistency. Rashee Rice, maybe the hype around him a little bit head over skis. And defensively, outside of Trent McDuffie, when Chris Jones is gone, again, what do you love? What do you feel great about? This is a team who's going to have an aces draft when it comes to it, and an aggressive offseason. And I understand that they have those guys, but you are looking at a team that spent every year in the AFC Championship game and will enter next season likely not booked as favorites to win their division. It is a massive, massive fall off, and it is a landscape-changing result. And there were a few of those yesterday, including Denver and Green Bay with another season-ending ACL injury. We'll talk about it next, right here on SportsGrid.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You take out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really, what they're rooting for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
It's Pro Football Today on SportsGrid, and the game between the Packers and the Broncos was really fun. Really, really good football game. Where were you? Were you involved in this one yesterday?
I was prop-wise, but I was on the Broncos. I like the Broncos. I brought it up in the pregame. They were 6-0 at home this year. Okay, prior to the game.
Yeah.
And the margin of victory on their 10-game winning streak prior to the game against Green Bay was only 6.9 points per game. At home, though, it was significantly higher, 10 points per game. So they were a better home team than they were on the road. And, again, I just think that people were selling Bo Nix and this team short because it's Jordan Love, it's Matt LaFleur, this team is complete. And I just didn't see it that way. I still have concerns with Green Bay, big picture. Now, Jaden Reed got back involved in the offense again back-to-back weeks. Will that help? It's possible. But, again, it's just they're hot and cold. 1 week up, 1 week down, I feel like. You never get the consistency. But Sean Payton has an identity with this team. He has playmakers that he trusts. And love him or hate him, Bo Nix wins. I mean, you could say it's not flashy, but he finds ways to pull it out.
Well, I think he's getting better. I think Sean Payton, should be getting more consideration for Coach of the Year, in my opinion. I think Mike Vrabel, honestly, I actually don't think Vrabel has much of any case anymore after yesterday. We'll get into that game a little bit more.
Smashed.
But no. Well, you know what's funny? I knew we'll get to it. But I look at Denver, and since Sean Payton has come back, he is perfect off a bye or mini bye.
Right.
They're minus 260 to be the 1 seed. If they're the 1 seed, that means they have to win a home game off a bye to be one home win away from being in the Super Bowl. They're the rightful favorites right now to win the AFC, Denver. I really do believe that.
Yeah, it's deserving. I mean, they stepped up. They made plays. And their defense doesn't get enough credit. I mean, Surtain in that secondary forced Jordan Love to methodically work down the field. It was an ugly game early on. But in the second half, it was all Bo Nix. I mean, he throws 4 touchdowns. Cortland Sutton back over 100 yards. Troy Franklin always seems to hit the end zone. R.J. Harvey now catching and running the football after Dobbins goes down. I mean, they have multiple weapons. So Evan Ingram every now and then.
Stop with this Ingram. No, but so here's the thing on Green Bay.
You're done with them?
So they lose Micah Parsons. And before the season, I was low man on Green Bay. I didn't have him in my postseason picture. And when they got Parsons is such a talent that so Myles Garrett is going to break the sack record. And on Friday, I was here in the office telling people I think Micah could still win Defensive Player of the Year. I was probably wrong about that. That's how good I think he is. That's how good of a season I truly believe he was having.
No, he would.
To lose Parsons now, I'm not that scared of the defense. And Parsons he said this when he got there. He's like, every single where I go, like, my corners get paid because they don't have to cover as long. Now you can't put as much attention on it. Everyone else now on that defense is worse. And chunk, it wasn't a lot of plays, but they were hitting chunk plays for Denver when Parsons was out of that game. And now, instead of can Jordan Love get on a heater, he has to be great in order for the Packers to make a run.
Yeah.
I don't want to bet on that.
No,
I don't want to bet on that.
I don't want to bet on it either, and I've been a big proponent of Green Bay. I have no problem betting them week to week, potentially. I have a problem betting them big picture.
Sure.
Because, again, to me, and I said this, in the pregame on Sunday, is that I still, at this part in the season, still believe that Philly will get it right. And to me, and I do believe they'll get it right. Now they're going to have to compete with the Rams, right? All right, so if you put the Rams as the 1 seed, okay?
Yeah.
Do you believe Green Bay matches up well with them? I do believe Philly does.
I thought, I can't stress this enough. I'm sure some will find it an overreaction. I was considering a Packers Super Bowl future for a few weeks, okay?
I know you.
I am now considering betting them to miss the playoffs. That is how much of a loss I think Parsons is. Now, of course, it is impacted by the schedule. But very simply, if Green Bay loses to the Chicago Bears, all of a sudden they will be fighting for their lives.
Yeah.
And that is a short Week 16, 2.5, 3-point spread. So, and people thought I was trolling when I said this. I think the Bears just had their best win of the season.
They did.
I don't care about these lucky, close, I care about them. But what I love to see is a team dominate. I love the Bears yesterday. The Browns. I love the Browns. I thought they'd be in it the whole way. I thought they could pull off an upset. I thought it was a tough spot for the Bears. You lose an emotional game in Lambeau. You're playing that same team next week. And they just rolled them. They rolled them. Caleb made great plays. Defense stepped up in every way they needed to. So, to me, Joe, I think the Packers now could miss the playoffs.
It's possible. Mathematically, it is. We'll see what happens.
So I just want to play this just because I was doing a lot on this today. I don't think it's that crazy.
All right, so go.
The Lions have to win their remaining games.
Okay.
But the Lions will be favored in, I think, each of their remaining games.
They play Minnesota in one of them, right?
Yeah, they play Pittsburgh, Minnesota, and then they play the Bears in Week 18, okay?
All right.
The Bears, all they have to do is beat Green Bay next week. That's it for this situation. And then the Packers, if they lose to the Bears, would have to lose one of their other 2 remaining games, playing the Ravens and the Vikings. That's not insane. Now, again, I was doing a lot of work on this today. It's on the board the Ravens actually don't play their starters in Week 17 against the Packers, which would, of course, throw everything off, fantasy football too, but that's on the board. I didn't expect this, Joe, but it's on the board for Green Bay. It's on the board, and I never would have thought that entering this week. Let's be clear. They were booked as favorites to win that game in Denver.
I know. 2.5 point favorites. Again, it's possible, but when you look at Green Bay, the emotional leader of their team just went down. And how does the team respond? Because the defense is where they were slightly lacking, right? Because they had Josh Jacobs, they have Jordan Love, they have some, complementary pieces, but the defense wasn't looked at as dominant.
The defense has looked vulnerable in spots.
Yeah, what I'm saying, though, is now with Micah out, teams are going to be licking their chops.
No doubt.
Teams are going to be licking their chops.
Well, what we're going to do is we're going to get into then that game that we saw from Detroit against the Rams, because it's a tough loss, no doubt, for the Lions, but it really, that Rams buzz, it's not ending. It's not ending anytime soon. We'll see if Lisi's a believer after the break on SportsGrid.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're down, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really. What they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Back at the right here on SportsGrid, it is Pro Football Today. Kevin Walsh and Joe Lisi. Joe, the Lions and the Rams went out there and played a game. It's very funny to me. This has happened a couple of times where these high totals, and the books are just dead to rights. This happened with the Rams. It's all Lions games. So Rams-Lions yesterday, 54.5. Just smashed the number.
Dallas Lions.
The Dallas game smashed the number. And I tried it, and I swear I thought I had a chance when they played the Ravens early season. And just flying through these totals at the end of the day. I'm just curious because, again, yesterday, obviously, with the snow and everything, what were you on in this game?
I was, props-wise, I had Jamison Williams over 80 and 90. I bought in St. Brown at halftime for $1.50. He landed at 162.
All right. Yeah.
I had Williams anytime touchdown, but I lost with the Lions. I had the Lions on the spread.
Okay.
So I had the 5.5. I actually was on. I had a parlay that didn't pull out, but I had Jared Goff for 275 and 2. So I thought Goff. Oh,
that's good. Wait.
Yeah, but the other side. What I'm saying is,
I got you.
Like I thought Goff playing against the Rams would be the guy. I didn't want to key Stafford or any of the Rams. I wanted to key all Detroit guys. I really thought they posed a problem, and they stepped up in the first half. Had a 10-point lead, but then again, all of a sudden you go through a lull, right? And you give up a couple of touchdowns, and now all of a sudden you're in. It's like they were shell-shocked. And then it's just like they get out of their game plan, and defensively, here's the deal. Offensively, Detroit could score with anybody.
Sure.
Their defense is terrible.
It's so injured.
I know it's injured, but we have to call it what it is. That defense in the secondary can be torched by anybody.
Yeah.
Dallas, you name any of the NFC teams, they could be abused by anybody. And that's the problem.
Brady said something on the broadcast that I hadn't thought about how the Rams are tough to beat in L.A. because it's a dome, so the conditions are perfect, and they're just so precise. And I hadn't thought about that just because I feel like, especially with the way the NFC is, when you think about home field advantage, you think about teams like Philly and Green Bay and Chicago who can bring you into their hellhole, right? But basically the Rams, let's just level this out. Everything's clean. And that's, so to your point about Detroit. For Detroit, and look, I know they don't project to get a home playoff game. My point is just like, they're kind of in a bad spot anywhere they are. Because if the weather's normal, their defense is going to get torched because it's so injured and it's just getting torched. And if it's outside, no one trusts this offense in a cold weather environment. So they're in this just such a difficult spot when they play the elites, right? The Lions are going through what Green Bay went through last year. Green Bay couldn't beat the elites.
Right.
The Lions were swept by the Packers, got smashed in Kansas City, lost to Philadelphia. The Rams just rolled them. I mean, it's what we're seeing here, and it makes Detroit a hard team to really buy into. On the Rams side of it, though, Joe, it's very interesting. I calling them the best team in football, more than fine. I would agree. I still push back on this idea that they are in a class of their own.
No,
they're down 10 in their own building. Like you said, the Lions are throwing lasers all over. That's what I'm saying.
They lost to Carolina as a 10.5-point favorite.
Again, the Rams are incredible at smashing teams. I get the offense is rolling. I do think Stafford's going to win MVP. I think the Thursday game's going to – he could clinch it on Thursday is what I would say against Seattle. But I still push back on the gap. That's my only thing. I do not think they are unbeatable. They're probably going to be favored in any game they play, no matter what. Right?
At home, would you make them over Philly?
What I think they would make it is about 4.5.
I think they'd make it 3.
Maybe I'm wrong. I'll say the books actually like the Eagles this year more than I think people realize. The Eagles' numbers have been pretty strong people were stunned Philly was laying as much as they were laying to the Raiders. Like, people were surprised by that.
But outdoor game, sub-freezing temperature.
I'm not saying, but people thought that was a big spread. Yeah. And, I mean, look, the Eagles just rolled them, rocked them, no problem kind of situation.
Look, I'm not taking away from McVay. I'm not taking away from Stafford. And that defense with Jared Verse in his second year doing fantastic things. I'm not. But as good as they are, you saw what speed can do to that secondary.
Sure.
You saw St. Brown abuse them. You saw Jamison Williams take the top, something that no other team really exploited them early. I mean, the Eagles did in the second half. But my point is, when you have talent on the outside, they're going to be in a game. That's why I don't give the edge to Green Bay if they had to play the Rams. They get smashed, I think.
I think Jordan Love can get on a heater. The Rams are clearly great. Are they in their own planet? That's the pushback. Bills-Pats was a lot of fun. A lot to take away. We'll talk about it next.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? They're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You take out San Fran? Their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. So you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really. What they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you right here on Sports Grid. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi. A lot of big games. You could argue the biggest of the bunch was New England and Buffalo. And again, you and I, we didn't get to do it on Sunday, but I knew which side you'd be on. I was on the other side.
Were you?
I really like the number on New England. I actually thought it was a bit of a Bills spot. I didn't think New England was going to sweep them, but New England being off of a bye at home, catching, you know what, I was able to get it at +2. Obviously, it didn't make a difference. I was hoping it would somehow, some way. But I thought, man, it's too good to pass up on. And then it was 21-0. And, you know, I mean, that's when you put the running shoes on. It's time to victory lap, right? And to proceed to lose that football game, it's a season changer. I don't think that – now, New England is still 100% in the driver's seat because the Bills lost to the Miami Dolphins, and that should not be excused in any capacity. But I take New England so much less serious now after that game. I really, they to me now, Joe, feel like a prime round one exit candidate. Like as a 2 or 3 seed hosting the 6 or the 7.
I mean, Drake May would be making his first career playoff start.
Absolutely.
You know, we've seen Herbert up until this point not win a playoff game. There's a lot of unknowns. Even Bo Nix, right? So, again, that's why I like Josh Allen and Buffalo in the matchup. I just think, you know, again, with Pat Mahomes and basically Lamar now fighting for their playoff lives, this is a do-or-die season for the Bills. I don't care if the defense isn't elite. I don't care if the offense doesn't have playmakers on the outside. This is Josh Allen's year to just capture everything and get to the Super Bowl. And if he can't, then this team has a lot of questions to answer. For New England, Diggs had, 26 yards. Kayshon Boutte had 1 reception for 30 yards. They don't have elite talent on the outside. Demario Douglas is good. He's not Justin Jefferson, Chase, or some of the other big ones, CeeDee Lamb out there. I mean, this team is pedestrian outside, meaning the skilled players for the wideouts.
But here's the thing. None of that matters. It was 21-0 at home.
But they did it on the ground. They were doing it on the ground.
What does that mean?
Nah, nothing. I'm just saying.
That's an unforgivable loss.
Oh, absolutely.
They clinched the division with that win. 21-0 at home off a bye.
But not only that.
Unforgivable.
Isn't that why you got Mike Vrabel?
Yeah.
To close the door.
He never lost a game off a bye.
Right.
And it was up 21-0 at home. Again, and you know.
But you had to know, like, again, if you're Vrabel in that spot.
Sure.
Don't take one. You have to go for the killer. You have to knock out Josh Allen. You know he's not going to go. He's not going to get shut out. And again, is New England a dominant defense? Statistically, they're good, but they can be had, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, but the thing is, with New England, and you know, again, I look, sometimes watching it. We didn't say we're going to win by a shutout. It's not that they had to pitch a shutout, but what actually ended up happening is after getting up, Joe, right? They had a drive to kick a field goal, right? Go up 24-7. Their offense did nothing.
Yeah.
3 and out, basically an arm punt, an incredible Trevion Henderson 65-yard touchdown, 3 and out, turnover on downs ends the game. They didn't do anything on offense. So I think there's a big Buffalo piece of this because today is the day, and I could see this coming, and it was confirmed actually a little bit before our show. Buffalo is now back into full 100% darling mode. The most adored team in football is the Josh Allen Buffalo Bills, right? And they, to me, still displayed they shouldn't be trusted. Their defense is bad. And the only way they can win games is when Josh Allen is heroic and, oh, my gosh, look at everything we're watching. And that's fine. That's not a sustainable way. 2 of the 3 biggest Bills wins this season required outrageous comebacks. That's not a way to make a living, in my opinion. So a lot of people will give New England grace. They go, hey, look, man, Bills are great. Josh is great. Hard to sweep. No. 21-0 in your building off bye.
Unacceptable.
That can't happen.
It can't.
And Mike Vrabel, to me, coach of the year, done. He has no case. No case. What is the case for Mike Vrabel? Because, they were bad last year? Okay, well, we all thought they'd be better this year. The schedule was a joke, And the quarterback has been getting most of the praise along with the offensive coordinator, which isn't Vrabel's side of the ball.
No.
When you have guys like Kyle Shanahan, who spent 4 or 5 weeks with his backup quarterback going, Mike McDonald, whose defense is aces and has Sam Big Game Darnold as his quarterback, Liam Cohen has completely fixed Trevor Lawrence all of a sudden, Sean Payton's the 1 seed with Bo Nix. I could name 5 guys, Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams in that resurgence. He wouldn't make my top 5 list, this Vrabel.
Well, I didn't think he was that great of a head coach at Tennessee, but you pushed back on me.
Well, yeah, because I think he's a good coach, but he's not coach of the year.
Well, he made number 1 seed with Ryan Tannehill and that team and lost to Joe Burrow. And ever since then, didn't know how to utilize Derrick Henry.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about the same thing. He has been an upgrade from, obviously, what they had last year, Gerard Mayo, But again, it's a young football team without major weapons. Forget the running backs. Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson. Henderson's going to be a star potentially. But the wide receivers, I mean, Diggs is aging. He's over the hill potentially. I mean...
Yeah, no, but Joe, yes, you're right.
They're doing it with smoke and mirrors. Drake May to throw for 155 yards against a garbage defense.
Right, so I think maybe, I don't know if we're saying the same thing.
We probably are.
I think they're really vulnerable. Again,
I never bought in thinking, look, I know that they were on a 10-game win streak. I know that they came into the bye and they were one of the hottest teams.
Right.
I never bought in to New England as threatening, in my opinion, for an AFC championship.
So
to me, they could maybe win one playoff game, but big picture, they're going to lose out to the better teams, the more physical teams.
So you've been lower on them. My thing is New England was in a situation where they were the favorites for the number 1 seed.
Yeah, not
all
anymore.
the way up until this game.
Right.
Like I know Denver had the tiebreaker, but remaining strength of schedule it looked better for now. All of a sudden, the Broncos are going to Kansas City and they're playing Minshew instead of Mahomes. Things have changed. But my point is, New England was supposed to be the 1 seed, and the reality is, if you're the 1 seed, Joe, you're already in round 2. You're already there. And I think for New England, right? I don't think we're evaluating this team. Pat on the head. Hey guys, nice job. Progressed. Let's have a big offseason. That changed in season. To can this team win a conference? And to me, I think they put on full display the answer is no. And I know that you already believe that, but I will add this because I guess this is probably though where people won't agree. I do not leave this game going Buffalo.
No.
It's Buffalo's world.
No, but
they had Joe. Their defense
stinks.
is awful.
Yes, it stinks.
Is awful.
They're going to have to outscore teams.
And it's awful in the worst way to be awful. They cannot stop the run, which gives every team they play an ability to sustain drives and just keep the ball moving.
But that is why when Josh Allen is Superman, and you could go back through the body of work the last 2 or 3 years, when he's putting up 250-plus total yards on the ground through the air, and you have James Cook running, and you average 4.5 yards or 4.9 yards per carry like they did, they're in every game because they just say, you want to play up tempo? First team to 40 wins, and we'll meet you at the finish line.
Right.
And that's their style right now. It's unfortunate they can't grind games out, maybe 1 or twice against the Steelers because they're pathetic from an offensive perspective. But at the end of the day, if they were to play Bo Nix and Denver, let's just call it it's going to be a slugfest, but you would give the edge to Josh Allen because of the big game experience, wouldn't you?
This is this thing. Every single playoff opponent this is how the analysis. If you want an AI summary, I like Buffalo because I like Josh Allen, or that team's not as good, and I'll be over here.
But think about
I'll be over here.
Okay, you'll be over there, but they played Bo Nix last year.
That was a different football. How about when they played the Texans? Just 2 weeks ago.
Exactly.
And they couldn't move the football.
They lost to the Texans last year.
They were on. So
they lost to the Texans last year.
This is a Buffalo team.
He completed 9 of 30 passes.
This is a Buffalo team a Buffalo team in their last 4 games, right? Annihilated by the Texans, down at half to Pittsburgh, dead to rights against the Bengals, dead to rights against the Pats. And people will go, well, they won 3. Absolutely.
3-1.
And you know what that's called? Smoke and mirrors. We got a lot more to talk about on a Pro Football Today.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really. What they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
Goes. Back at the right here on SportsGrid. Still plenty to get to, Joe, across a really, really busy Sunday of NFL action. I'll start with this. Old Man Rivers gave the Colts a chance.
Shot in the arm.
The thing is,
$120.
so that's my thing. For, hey, gave him a chance.
Well, they didn't take the training wheels off.
Joe, that's about how it's going to look.
4.4.
That's about how it's going to look.
4.4 yards per pass play. I mean, dinking and dunking all the way to a victory.
I think the difficult thing is they had a 3rd and 7, right? And they ran it with Taylor, right? I think they're hoping maybe he busts it, but let's bleed clock. But it brings up a 4th and 3 with 47 seconds to go, and they kicked the field goal, and they made it. Now, it was a 60-yard field goal. Like, that's not an easy field goal. They made it. But did anybody think that Seattle wasn't going to get a field goal of their own?
Yeah, I mean, why not? Your defense can't give you a stop?
Okay.
Why is that on Rivers?
No. That's on Steichen.
Yeah.
I think they should have gone for the 4th and 3.
What would you have done?
Gone for the 4th and 3.
Okay, no. I know gone for the 4th and 3, but with a quarterback that, to your point,
well, he's after 4.4 in attempt. So, we only needed 3 yards. We're money.
So a little pop pass?
Yeah, I mean.
Little pop pass.
But, Joe, here's my thing. They kicked the field goal and lost. So that decision, they did lose. People would say, if you just kick. No, it's a 60-yard. Again, and the chances of making the 60-yarder are not like 100%. So
it was groupie, right?
I mean,
come
that's
on,
our boy.
Kid's got leg.
I understand that. It went in.
Yeah,
and they still lost.
But he had them in a position with 50 seconds left to win the game.
I understand.
Steichen put his team in a position, but the defense, big bad Sam Darnold.
Let me just ask you this. If I would have said before the game, hey, Colts score 16, who do you think wins the game?
Look,
I'm just saying.
I know, but everybody said that Phil Rivers was going to get smashed. Yeah. For a guy that hasn't played in 5 years to come off and put his team in a position, and I know Jonathan Taylor rushed it for 25 carries, right? 87 yards.
Yep.
I mean, come on. I mean, he shook off the ring rust, and they weren't going to be in that position with Riley Leonard.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I'm not sure that's the case. Again, the Rivers numbers are nothing, and Riley Leonard is far more of a mobile threat. Obviously, that's what they believe. Here's my bigger thing, Joe. Colts projected wins update via the Joe Lisi calculator. Okay, early perception. They have to play the Niners at home,
The Jags and the Texans.
Do you think this team wins the game?
I think they could catch on that. I'm still not. I like the Jags, and I think they can make a run this year.
Sure.
But again, they're still young enough to. On any given day they could lose. I know they smashed the Jets, but I'm not. Texans too now. What they have injuries, right? Chubb and Marks a little bit.
So you mentioned the Jags. Trevor Lawrence throws 5 touchdowns, 330 yards.
It's the Jets, though.
I can't get there. There's no such thing as it's the Jets. 6 total touchdowns, 380 yards of offense.
I picked the Jags. I had Brian Thomas to score a touchdown.
Oh, so
he scored the first one. I just had a smash day.
I think the Jags are having one of the more impressive stretches of football.
I said it
within their recent.
I think the Jags
history.
are going to upset the Broncos this week.
Oh, okay. Best bets already.
I believe that.
But so if they do, if you're right, by the way, that means Jacksonville would actually have a chance to be the 1 seed. I think that's putting the Jags in a completely different class, and that's a class that I wasn't sure they were in.
But they're building an identity. I mean, they have a rushing attack with ETN. Trevor Lawrence is starting to now be a little bit more consistent after.
Trevor Lawrence is on probably the best 3-game stretch of his NFL career.
Yes.
Right? I mean, he's thrown 9 touchdowns, accounted for 10 total, passer rating over 105 in every single one of the games.
He's aggressive. He looks like he's back winning a national championship at Clemson.
Downfield shots.
Again,
Liam Cohen, better Coach of the Year candidate than Mike Vrabel.
Look, I like Cohen. And I've told you, I
think the Jags like Cohen.
I think the Bucs miss Cohen.
Sure.
Possible.
Yeah, I think that is possible. Baltimore ended Cincinnati's season. Just a pretty gutless effort. I assume Zach Taylor's going to be fired. Oh, look at the smile. All right, so that was interesting.
No,
I should have known that smile was coming.
I know you were still you were still holding out hope.
I was.
I
was.
That was a gutless effort, but you know what? I'm mad at Joe because I'm a big Joe B backer. Yeah. When he makes
that back next year.
I'll jump on. You make that comment like you're not happy playing ball.
Sure.
And then you go out against a defense that you sliced and diced on Thanksgiving, and you can't really score at all. Jamar Chase and that offense. I mean, seriously?
It was ugly.
I mean, and again, they played that game so conservative. Like, again, Zach Taylor, like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why is every throw? Play it like you did against the Bills. Play it like a street ball game. No?
Yeah, if you could, but they just didn't have it, and I thought the Ravens' defense...
That was a mindset issue. They were checked out. They wanted to go home. They didn't want to be in the same position that they were there last year. And I blame Burrow. I mean, Burrow came out right in the press conference and said he didn't want to play. Okay, you don't want to play or you're not having fun. You're getting $55 million to play, Joe. Like, seriously? Like, I mean, come on now. You want to check in? What I find amazing, okay? And I understand it's a physical sport, but they're getting paid $50 and $60 million. They don't even want to play 17 games. Are you kidding me?
Well, no, Burrow's going to play the rest of the season. I think that's gutty. I do. I think Burrow wants to play. I think Burrow wants to win.
Why didn't he throw it 55 times against that defense?
Joe, I mean, I don't know.
Why didn't we run hurry up? Why didn't he throw for 350? What is the game plan going in? On his first game back from basically an 8-game hiatus, he throws for 261. And Jamar Chase had over 100 yards.
I don't think they weren't trying. I mean, I think he was just awful.
Okay.
Like, guys have awful games. He was awful in the game.
All right. Yeah.
And I think
Ray Lewis and all of a sudden Ed Reed appeared for Baltimore's defense. Is that what you're telling me?
I'm not saying it wasn't a lowly performance, but this is also a team who left themselves absolutely no margin for error, and they tossed it away against Buffalo. And that's just the reality of it. They tossed away the season against Buffalo, but they also tossed it away in his absence with the losses against the Jets and the Rams.
5.8 yards per pass play.
Joe, he was awful. I'm not saying I don't think no one is saying that he was good in the football game. It was a terrible performance. We're going to continue to talk about what we saw and what is to come, a primetime preview on Pro Football Today.
Let's play our game of buy or sell. The Lions will make the playoffs this season. Buy or sell?
I believe that's what the computer tells us, right? They are almost exactly 50-50 to make the playoffs now after that win. Now, it's sort of the game I'm going to play here when we talk about the Cowboys making the playoffs. If you're going to put Detroit in, Craig, who are you taking out? All right? I mean, they're not, even with the win last night, they're not in the playoff spot right now. They're still the 8th seed here. You taking out San Fran? I mean, their schedule's cake. They should get in. Green Bay beat you twice. I mean, so you would probably need, for them to make the playoffs, Seattle's the other team, by the way, I think Seattle gets in. You would need Green Bay or Chicago, really. What they're ready for is one to beat the other. They do play each other twice, to beat them twice, right? They can't have a split here. They need either Chicago to beat Green Bay twice or Green Bay to beat Chicago twice, sort of eliminate the other team. So I am probably selling this. I do think there's a chance here. You look at the Lions' schedule, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, Chicago, the last two are on the road.
Yeah, I think that I'm on board here with you. In the AFC, Detroit would be in. But in the NFC, you have to make a prediction to knock a team out. Now, like as an example, in the NFC East, could you see a scenario, George, where Philadelphia just completely falls apart like they did 2 years ago? Sure, but then they still would win the division. Like you really can't find a path for the Lions unless, for me, I guess the team that I would question the most to make it and knock them out would be the Bears. Like that would be it. It would be just the Bears playing the softer schedule. I know they beat Philadelphia last week, but I just can't do it right now. So unfortunately, this could be a 11-win season, 10-win season for Detroit without them getting in. I will sell. They will not make it. I'm with you here.
Fantasy Sports Today, Friday, starting at 3 p.m. Only on SportsGrid.
We are with you on SportsGrid. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi. We're going to do a little primetime preview here. Steelers, Dolphins. We'll do that in a moment. I just want to try and quick hit a couple of other things. We've mentioned some of them in passing, but we didn't do any Sunday Night Football. Dallas and Minnesota. The Cowboys' season pretty much ended. The Eagles just have to win their next game against the Commanders. Listen, I understand that's easier said than done, but, you know.
I mean, with Mariota,
the thing is, Dallas would still have to
win
out. I think Dallas has shown that with a great offense, hey, we could beat anybody. But also, we're an incredibly vulnerable team, and I don't think Dak was all that great in that game yesterday. I understand he threw for a ton of yards. I don't think he was all that great. And this is a group who's going to have to really, rearrange a couple of things in the offseason. I don't think Matt Eberflus is likely to be brought back on the defensive side of the ball. And I don't know. I don't know where you were at going into that game, but for me, to see them lose, I actually wasn't all that surprised.
No, I wasn't either. I mean, I thought if J.J. McCarthy was competent, right, like he was the previous game against the Commanders, they would be in the game. Yeah. Right now, they didn't still feed Justin Jefferson, but we saw Jalen Naylor with 2 big plays. We saw, Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason run the football enough. And again, when you get pressure on Dak Prescott, you could sack him, right? He's not as mobile as he was earlier in his career, and the defense is a sieve in the back end. I mean, there's multiple teams that abused this team over the top this year. Yeah. It wasn't just J.J. McCarthy. So, yeah, here's the thing about Dallas. I never thought that this was an elite football team. I thought this was a middle-of-the-road football team that made some nice moves. I did believe, and maybe I was in the minority, that Jerry Jones did the right thing with the Micah Parsons situation. If he's checked out, I'm not going to give him money, obviously, if he doesn't want to play in Dallas. And again, we'll see if those moves that they made with Quinnen Williams and some of the others will pay off long term.
Sure.
But I think they got the most out of this team. Like, he took it right down to the end. If I would have told you, which I didn't believe, hey, Dallas's playoff hopes would be alive entering Week 15, would you have bought in?
If you would have said before,
first-year head coach, major question marks, defense not good.
Yeah, I think my problem is nothing about their season is in its totality surprising.
No, it's not.
Offense has big games. Defense is bad.
Good,
They
bad,
lose.
and ugly.
They lose big games.
Right,
they just.
Right, you have a mishmash, but you have a 500 football team, and that's what I thought they were.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Look, I do think what you are seeing though is J.J. McCarthy guarantee he's the Viking starter next year, and I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for him personally. I think that's a great thing, but I don't know for Minnesota. I don't know.
It's a huge risk. I'll just say that.
But I don't think they have a choice.
No, they don't.
Right?
But again, if he's going to start to light up. Now, Washington and Dallas.
It's his fourth,
he plays Detroit.
Fourth game, Joe.
He plays Detroit. They stink.
Yeah, but so that's it. Joe, it's his fourth game with 3 total touchdowns.
No, I know.
He's played 8 games.
No, I know. But ask Jordan
in
Addison.
his other games, though, he's atrocious.
My point is, and I know Addison had yards, but ask Addison and Justin Jefferson if they want McCarthy as a quarterback next year.
I know. A couple of other quick things, and again, I know we'll get to the game. Again, watch out for the Niners in the 1 seed.
Yep.
They are, they're going to need
Purdy
the Seahawks on Thursday night, but we'll see. We'll see. Texans dominate the Cardinals. It is what it is. Carolina, that's bad.
Good. You got to bet them every other week. Look at ever since they lost to the Bills,
right?
They win every other week. Look at this.
Yeah, no, you're right.
And they win and cover.
Yeah, been flipping flopping.
And even though they came out of a bye week,
that's bad news
so
for
now,
Tampa.
So now next week they
play the Bucs at home.
They're catching 2.5.
Yeah, that's
a game probably they win.
Yeah, it's interesting.
My heart says Tampa, and I want to bet Tampa. But if you're looking at the body of work, it says bet the Carolina.
It's interesting, man. I think for
same spread as Green Bay, by the way.
I can't get a handle on Carolina in terms of the outlook of it all, right?
Bryce Young,
is Bryce the guy? I don't know. It's like you feel like he's done enough to give himself more time. Is Canales any good?
They get Ted McMillan involved.
All of a sudden, he gets jumped by Henderson in the Offensive Rookie of the Year market.
I know. It's crazy.
All right, so Miami and Pittsburgh. Listen, it's not the sexiest game of the season.
I'm going to take a shot.
Go ahead.
They don't win in cold weather.
Oh, okay.
I'll take a shot with the Dolphins. Nah, I can't do it. Rodgers is even though I hate Pittsburgh, they smashed the Dolphins.
Really?
I think they smashed.
You know what's funny though, Joe, is this is it. I do think that because
Can we get this total?
Because Pittsburgh just had that big win, I think now I think people are ready for the bottom to fall out against Miami, but I don't know if it's almost too obvious the bottom is going to fall out against Miami. I'm a little, I don't know on the whole thing. I do like Rodgers to throw 2 touchdowns though.
I hope
short number
to Washington. Darnell or Genu. Tight ends.
Have you ever found a wide receiver you like for a touchdown? You're
not
insane.
On their team.
Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh, Pro Football Today on SportsGrid.
You could maybe have one good year at Ole Miss and maybe potentially, 5 or 6 9-3 campaigns, but you're not going to make the playoff each and every season, or at least that's the mindset. You have a better path at LSU or a bigger school.
SportsGrid's College Football Today.
Now you're a 1 o'clock guy again, huh?
Well, I didn't know I have to appease you.
What do you mean appease me? I'm trying to get a read on you.
Well, that's it. I don't want you to get a read. I said.
Okay.
What are you? You're on me like flies on rice.
Well, I once watched you destroy an NFL team's season because you zagged so hard in the best bet segment.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Everyone has just been lying about this whole thing. Okay. Of the top 15 teams in the country, there are 4 total losses to unranked football teams. Miami has...
I think this is a very tough one. I haven't bet this because I still think it's that close. I would lean towards the sentiment of the voter body instead of the anointing of the new star. But at a certain point, the next 2 weeks, Drake May could be undeniable. It's really interesting market right for those two. And remember when Matthew Stafford wasn't going to play all year? Remember in August where he wasn't practicing, and now he is number 2 for MVP. So go figure.
Fantasy